All right guys, it's makeover day for the Landcruiser, finally. Been pretty busy, but gonna get into the garage today. Oh. Gonna get the facelift on this guy. Let's get stuck into it. But before we get into it, I've narrowed it down to 2 colors for the 105, so have a look at these and see what you think. So I've got these 2 colors here. So this is Rhino Grey, and then this one is Cable Grey. So I'm leaning pretty heavily towards the Cable Grey, just because the Rhino Grey has a bit of a blue tinge. I don't think that'll suit it as well. I've compared it to the color I had, the 80. I want this to be a fair bit darker than the 80. It looks good on that car, but I don't think it'd suit one of these as well. So I'm thinking that this color here is going to be the go. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Think I'm making a mistake? Should it be this color? Should it be something completely different? But I think that Cable Grey will really set this off nicely. So my general process for picking a color usually starts at the hardware store. This is how many colors I started with, and you can see here, this is the color of my old 80 series. So I was just using it as a bit of a guide because I know I wanted it to be darker than that. So I let a couple of spots dry out. But yeah, we started with all of these colors, and then I started to narrow it down. There were some obvious ones to get rid of. Like I looked at this one, was way too dark, it's close to black. This one went. Some of them, when you see them against other colors, they start to look really blue, which is not really what I wanted. And it's literally just been a process of elimination one by one. And yeah, the 2 on the car are what we've ended up with. So from here, I'll go down to a local automotive store and I'll get them to mix it up based on that color swatch and go from there. With the 80 color, I actually started with the Dulux color, and then we sort of customized it from there and made it exactly what I wanted. So it'll be a similar process with this. And there's a guard here to replace the banged up one of mine that has a little bit of rust in the corner. So that will sort of be the test panel that I'll sand it, get it all prepped, and we'll get some color on it and see how it goes. Okay, so we've got a pretty big episode today. I've got a lot of stuff to cover. So this is what I'm going to be installing. We've got updated headlights off a late model, updated grille, and we've got the alternator that I'm going to do at the same time. And then these are what you need to put a late model front on an early model Landcruiser. So it's the 2 small little pieces that go underneath the headlights, and then also the center support. So I'll get those unwrapped, but I'll show you how they fit. So on this car, the late model grille covers all of this section here, so that's no longer required, that bit of metal. And then obviously those 2 filler pieces will go underneath these headlights. But the new headlights come down to about here. They're a bit bigger, so we just have 2 small pieces that bolt in there as well. So there is a little bit of customizing to make it fit properly, and I'll cover that off as we get this all pulled apart, stop at the interesting points. All right, let's get these bits and pieces unpacked. So this is the filler strips for below the new headlights. So I bought all this from Mega Zip in Japan. It's all genuine Toyota. It wasn't really cheap, and I've seen guys sort of fudgy up the existing stuff to make it work, but I just wanted to do a proper bolt-on. The only thing I'm not going to have sorted yet is paint. So these come in like gloss black. They probably need to be coated, and I'll start painting stuff in the next few weeks, so they won't sit like this for too long, but that's what we're got. So it goes under one of the headlights. And while we're at this, I still have a handful of these long sleeves. If you guys want to support the channel, it is by far the best way to do it. Any money I make off these literally just goes straight back into buying parts for these cars. They're really comfortable. I'm a massive fan of them. I can wear them to the drags, to the tracks. I wear them out 4-wheel driving. So jump on it. Really appreciate the support so far. Quite a few of them have already gone. But like I said, anything that gets sold goes into the cars. So head over to the website. I'll put a link in the description, and grab a long sleeve or a jumper. I've got jumpers there too. This important piece in terms of not having to rip everything up. It's well wrapped. Bloody hell. Halfway there. Jesus. 5 years later. All right. Well, we eventually got there. So that there is everything we need. Now we can get into pulling the Landcruiser apart and get the old alternator out. We'll do that first. All right, I'll get it moved back so we can get into frame properly. The volts are pretty low, so I'm hoping it starts. It's a cold start first up, so we'll see how we go. Whilst we're at it, oh shit, I'll turn the headlights off first. So I think that's where I want it. I'll show you a couple other things. So, oh my, it smells like swamp in here. It smells like ass. Don't ask me how I know. So I installed this gauge recently. I had one of these in my 80 series as well. And honestly, I'll never run another gauge in my life. They're just so bloody simple. I shouldn't say in my life, something better might come out down the track, but at the moment, I think these are the best. I'm not a fan of like the gauge pod pillar things. This has EGTs, boost, volts, and intake temps at the moment. I've got a bunch of other sensors in the garage that I can hook up to it. But for the most important things I wanted, I've done them straight away. And it's super simple install, so I might just turn it off now that we're where we want to be. So they all just went through. There's a little like computer box that sits under the center console. I'll put that in the video so you can see what it looks like. Where's my bloody latch? It's just under the S. So, you can see why the alternator shit the bed. Look at that mess. So boost, just teasing off the turbo down there. And EGTs, there was already a little plug, a little bung in the exhaust. You can see that there. So they literally just go into those. The cable runs back to the little computer under the center console. And yeah, that gives me EGT and boost. I plumbed a little sensor into the back of the airbox here and sealed it in with Sikaflex. You can see that just there. So that gives me intake temps as well. It's just nice to have those there, all in one place. So if you want any more information on that one, let me know. I can do a full rundown on that and how I put it together and how it works. But yeah, they're really cool. I'm not sponsored by them, but if you're looking for a gauge that's simple, out of the way, the JRP 16 in 1, I think it is, or 14, is the go. Alrighty, take a good look at this front end, because it's the last time it's going to look like this. I think we're going to kick off today by getting rid of the hoops off this bull bar. I know that underneath this here and this here, there'll be holes. We're going to cap them off later, and obviously it'll need another coat of paint, but I think just for working on this, we'll get rid of all this shit off the front here first. We get easier access, and they're getting cut off anyway, so I'll get them cut off and then get started on pulling the front end off.
So the first thing I've done is just chucked a blanket over the front end to stop little bits of aluminium dust getting to everything. And the grinder, I made a bit of a mistake. I tried to cut through all the welds first. In hindsight, I would have cut just above them all to get the bulk of the bar work off first, and then tidy up all of the welds after.
Okay, so the hoops are off. It's pretty ugly at the moment, but I'm just going to give it a quick touch up with a grinding disc, and then we'll push on.
Alright, we're going to get the roughest spots filled with some Metaltech filler here. Obviously this isn't a long-term solution, so I've left a bit of the hoop in that hole just to keep the bar stiff, and we're going to give this all a good coating and then sand it back just so it looks nice for the time being.
Right, we got that filler on. So it's just to cover all the grind marks, make it a bit prettier. So whilst that all dries off, I'll pop the bonnet and we'll start pulling out the old headlights grill and that bottom trim piece. I'll probably get rid of the bonnet shield as well. Once it's painted, I'll probably put a tinted one on, but I just can't stand that orange. I think it's terrible, so yep, we'll get back into it. Okie So headlights came out easy enough. This one, I don't know what the go was. I think it's been sitting in there so long it was pretty glued up. But that's all out. So now, if you have a look at this, this is the support I bought from Toyota. So the main difference, you can see this lip here is really small, like maybe not even 10 mil. The one behind it, it's got this big thick profile here. So we're going to take the old one off. It's just got a couple of 10 mil bolts hiding in behind here, and it looks like it's got a rivet on each end, so we'll drill the rivet, get those all unbolted, and hopefully this new piece goes straight in.
And of course, as usual, nothing goes straight in. So there's a bit of stuffing around getting those 10 mil bolts out on the right hand side, just with the transmission cooler being in the way there. And I found that there was rivets in the top of that joint, but they were also in the face, just behind those little strips that cover it. So I got those bolts undone eventually, got these holes drilled out, and once I got the new piece in, it actually failed against the bull bar. So I'm not sure if there's like early model and late model bull bars for 105s. but then I had to do some trimming of the bull bar to make that bracket fit nicely.
Alrighty, so we've test fitted up that new bracket, and I've just marked in white paint pen bits that need to come off. So this little triangle here needs to go. We need to cut this top support off. There's a hole here that it looks like it lines up with, and same on this side. I'm just going to take this triangle out here. So I don't want to cut too much off, so we're just going to do a little bit and then double check it.
It's also worth noting you have to cut a bit of the two front quarters out. So where the corner lights go in, there's actually a bit too much of a lip there for the new style headlights. So once I was finished trimming the bull bar, there's lots of putting the headlights in and out and just making minor adjustments to those guards as you go, as you'll see in the video coming up. Also, where I drilled the rivets out, I've only put a couple of self-tapping screws in there at the moment, just because I know I'll be respraying the car soon, so those front guards will be coming back off. So if you're wondering why I've used screws instead of rivets, that's why. So now that the bog is dry, I've also given that a really quick sand back. It needs a bit more effort, but I just used what I had laying around and a coat of paint on it just to keep it dry. So this is that stage where there's lots of trial fitting, making sure everything is going to sort of come together nicely. So I didn't actually get to fully finish this project. The couple of little tabs that go under the headlights need a couple of specialist fasteners. I found something from Supercheap that I can modify, so I am going to do that when I've got some spare time. But you can see here, I got the wind or the chip guard off the bonnet, and the front end just looks 10 times cleaner than what it used to. So I'll put up a proper video of it rolling soon and it all put together so you can see it. Thanks as always for the support, legends. I'll see you on the next one.